Okay, so last week we got into talking about water as a resource in terms of forest recreation management, and just started to look at some of the attributes of flowing water. We got into sort of the cryo side of things with all of that. We also got into some of the just characteristics, physical and human perceptual or human value characteristics, like the aesthetics of water, the existential value of water in lake form versus in groundwater form, right? We've highly prized a beautiful alpine lake, and we just don't think about groundwater resources in the same way. So we need to acknowledge that human filter between the resource and how we manage these forest recreation resources, because the human cognitive side of things is such a driving, such an overwhelming force in how we have to do and why we do forest recreation management the way that we do. So I wanted to spend just kind of the first minute or two going back to the Carlsbad Cavern case study we had on non-frozen, so non-cryo water as a resource, and just kind of highlight a couple of the management solutions, the tactical level answers to the big how are we going to do this question of forest recreation management specific to Carlsbad. As a reminder, for this semester we've each adopted a national park, and one of our goals here is to sort of inventory the resources of each of these different resource classes or types as they exist in and around your national park specifically, and then connect the context of that resource to what does the National Park Service do in terms of management specifically at that national park for that resource or those resources, given the contextual constraints of the specifics of your national park, right? So we talked through group size limits last week, and that is a strategy 4 out of 4, temporary or permanent limitation on access, limitation on the type of activities present, limitations on attributes of an activity. If the activity is allowed, we can still sort of parameterize it out and say, yeah, you can go hiking inside this cave, you can go on a cave tour, maybe, and so forth. But the dynamics of water carrying human pollution into this cave system on a permanent basis means that the way that you interact with that water in this cave system, or interact with the water at the surface, which brings impacts down into the cave system, means that we're gonna severely proscribe, which is a fancy way of saying limit, your group size. So directly limiting or stopping certain kinds or types of use. And if we were doing this not, or classifying this not as a use limitation, but as a modifying visitor use, we would call this a very direct modification. Instead of, there's no information and education about group size and status group dynamics. We're not trying to teach visitors how we behave when we're in a frat group versus a retirement group of people. We're just saying your group size is no bigger than X. And typically, as a rule of thumb, 6 to 8 is going to be that magic number, right? So we'll see the specific numbers vary, and in some cases quite a lot, across different national parks. But at the tactical level, 6 to 8 looks to be kind of that, just kind of rule of thumb starter spot. If you don't know, for the purposes of our exercises this semester, in recommending tactical solutions to protect the resources at your chosen national park, start with 6 to 8 as a group size limit, if you decide to choose group size limit as one of your tactics. Cool. All right. So I just wanted to kind of refresh that and sort of connect again the through thread of what's the resource and get it all the way to how does the characteristic, the reality of the resource on the ground sort of connect through to what you are doing, what you are setting, what you are enforcing, what you're patrolling, what you're monitoring as the park ranger on site. Sound good? All right, so we'll skip forward again. We've already seen this. Just wanted to put in that quick reminder. While I'm switching up to the next PowerPoint for water resource management, does anybody have any announcements for the good of the cause or any questions?